Hello Scouts, my name is Michael, and today I'll be teaching you the basic rope skills you'll need on your campouts and in many other situations. The content in this video will include rank advancement information for both Scout and Tenderfoot, so be sure to follow along in your books or take notes of your own. Starting off, we have the most basic knot of all, the square knot. The square knot is a highly versatile knot, being useful for securing bandages, joining two ropes together, and pretty much any relatively low-stress connection that needs to be made. To tie a square knot, hold a rope in each hand. Pass the right end over and under the rope in your left hand. Pass the end now in your left hand over and under the end now in your right hand. And finally, pull both ends at the same time to tighten. This will likely be your go-to knot in many of your early scouting days, so be sure to be as comfortable with it as you can. Next up, we have the Clove Hitch. The Clove Hitch is personally my favorite knot, as it is a quick and easy knot that you can use to secure one end of a rope to pretty much any kind of pull, and is useful in any situation where support is required to serve as an anchor point. To tie a Clove Hitch, run the end of a rope over and under a pole, and then cross over your first wrap to form an X. Then bring the end of the rope around a third time and tuck it underneath the X and pull both ends to tighten. This is a great knot to be able to tie quickly, and muscle memory will allow your hands to do the work in a couple of seconds. Next up, we have the 2 half hitches knot. The 2 half hitches is essentially a clove hitch tied around itself rather than being tied around an anchor, and is another useful way to form a loop that can secure a rope to a post or grommet, like tying lines onto a dining fly. To tie a 2 half hitches, pass the running end of the rope around the post. Bring the end around the standing part of the rope, then back through the loop. This is 1 half hitch. Then continue taking the end around the standing rope to tie another half hitch outside the loops in the same direction and pull snug. This is a knot you could have to tie very quickly in an emergency situation where you need to put up a rain shelter or something similar, so be sure to master the motion. The last knot in the basic set is the taut line hitch. While a 2 half hitches knot tends to settle around its anchor point, a taut line hitch is a standing knot that tightens around itself and can be adjustably tightened as needed. This is the most common knot in everyday life in my experience, so be sure to learn this one well. To tie a taut line hitch, pass the running end of the rope around the anchor point, bring the end over and around the standing part, then back through the loop that it has formed, then around the standing part inside the loop closer to the anchor point. Going in the same direction, take the end around the standing part outside the loop to tie another half hitch, work out the slack, and slide the hitch to tighten the line as needed. Now, you're going to use a lot of rope throughout your time in Scouts, and you won't always have the privilege of getting new rope for every trip, so you have to know how to treat and fix the rope that you have when it does become damaged. The most common thing to happen to the end of a rope is fraying, where the rope essentially unspools itself and becomes very hard to work with. The easiest method to fixing a frayed rope is something called fusing. Fusing can only be used on plastic or nylon cord like paracord, as the process involves melting the end of rope so it only forms a sort of end cap. To fuse a nylon rope, cut the frayed part of the rope off and hold the rope a few inches above a lighted match or candle to fuse the strands together. Never touch the end of a newly fused rope. It is searing hot and sticky, which is not a good combination with human skin. If a rope is not plastic or nylon and is something like sisal instead, fusing is not an option, as the rope will burn rather than melt. For this kind of rope, a method called whipping will be used. Whipping is much more work but produces a much neater result and is useful on more kinds of rope, and can also be utilized without the need for an open flame. To whip a rope, cut away the end of the rope that is unraveled, and cut a piece of thread between 1 and 2 feet depending on the width of your rope, and lay it next to your rope in a loop. Tightly wrap the cord around the rope and continue until the whip is at least as long as the rope is wide. At this point, tuck the end of the cord through the loop and pull hard on both ends. This tightens the loop around the end of the thread and prevents any loosening. Congratulations! You now know all of your basic rope skills you'll need to be successful both in rank advancement and in much of your outdoor activity. Remember to practice and to keep your rope in good condition, as a knot is only as good as the person who tied it.